Hi, my name is John Brink. Thank you for joining us today. You're watching a history of the BC forest industry. Thank you for joining us today. My name is John Brink. Our guest today is a very interesting guest. Her name is Terri McConnachie. Terri is a city councillor, but many more things. So welcome to the show, Terri.
Thank you, John. It's a pleasure to be here.
So you have a busy life.
I do.
You are a city councillor.
Yes.
And you are involved in the Canadian Home Building Association.
Yes.
Not only a member of the board, but you are part of the executive.
I'm their executive officer. So I'm a remunerated non-voting member of the board.
Okay.
For the Canadian Home Builders, yes. And also director on the regional district board and library trustee. And more importantly, grandma.
Yeah.
So that takes up, that's the most joyful time right there, John.
Yeah, for sure.
Indeed.
Now, how do you kind of manage the time of doing all those things?
I would be lost if it wasn't for, thank goodness, the technology and my iPhone and Google Calendar. And you know what? We just make it fit.
Yeah.
And I find I'm happiest and at my most productive when I am busy.
Yeah.
I hear there's other people like that, such as yourself out there. So, it's just a matter of managing.
So tell us a little bit about your background. Are you from the region, or how did you end up in Prince George?
Well, I was born in Chilliwack as a result of my parents falling in love and meeting in Lillooet. So we lived there for the first few years of my life. And then due to my parents' work, my dad with Finning, and that's what landed us up in Prince George.
Yeah.
And we've been here ever since. And even as a newlywed, Kevin and I tried venturing outside of Prince George. We moved back east for a little bit. I moved to Vancouver for a bit, but we always came back home because this is where our family is. This is our roots, and this is where we will retire.
Right. And so you really came here when?
Oh my God, about 1970.
So
I
about
think.
50 years
Yeah,
ago
and totally.
now.
That was a pretty good guess, John. That was awesome. Yeah, about 50-ish,
Yeah.
I would say. Yeah.
Prince George looked altogether different then, right?
Oh, totally different.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Riding my bike downtown, in the 70s is completely different than driving downtown now.
Yeah.
It is leaps and bounds.
Yeah.
Different and for the good.
Right. It was a bit of a boom town still coming out of the 60s, and the forest industry was emerging
Huge.
here. Mills all over the place, and it was a vibrant lumber town, right?
Absolutely. Back in the 70s, that's when the majority of our housing stock was built. At that time, it was where a guy could, show up at the mill, talk to the HR manager on a Friday and start on a Monday.
Yeah.
And the majority of the people that we knew for high school work or out of school could raise a family. And I think a lot of those forestry jobs kept people here in Prince George.
And so that was very good, but then sometimes what would happen is that the well-being of the town went up and down with the lumber market in the forest industry.
Yes.
And that's the way kind of it was then.
It was. Up until, you're very right. It was very dependent, and that kind of like spurts of boom or bust. And it's been interesting to see the change over the last number of years, actually in a short period of time.
Yeah.
Has diversified
Yeah.
so much. Hey, John, and now there's other reasons
Yeah.
that people are moving to Prince George and that are staying here. Even those folks that said they would just come here for a couple of years, we've heard this refrain, but it's true, stay here for a couple of years, and they end up staying a lifetime.
And one of the catalysts, among others, but primary catalyst, was about 30 years ago when what was developed, the University of Northern British Columbia.
Oh, that was a game changer.
Yeah.
I still remember when I bought a $5 membership
Yeah,
I believe, to
me
get
too.
that going.
Yeah.
Right back then, I think I was just out of college and thinking, working at the Chamber of Commerce back then.
Yeah.
And I remember that was a really core group that worked really hard
Oh, yeah.
to get that university here.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to start naming names because
No.
I'm going to make a mistake and leave
Right.
someone out. But I remember thinking even then, this isn't going to benefit me as a young person now, but it will certainly benefit future generations. And boy,
In the
has it
region.
ever. You know what? The entire region.
Yeah, of northern British Columbia.
Actually, the province, I mean,
Right.
really, but specifically our area.
Yeah,
for sure.
I look even at our company, you know, I have some of our key people that are working for us. All of them were trained at UNBC.
Yes. And now, as our daughters have grown and our son, they're all trained here at the college and at UNBC, and they've all have great jobs here, and now they're homeowners here and, starting their own lives.
And then but it developed more and more, lesser of the forest industry, but more of a regional center.
Absolutely.
You know, so that was a changing of the city of Prince George. It became more of a regional leader of northern British Columbia.
Well, I think we used to talk about, even like in the 80s, as Prince George being the gateway to the north or the spruce capital or the hub. And I think we've really grown up to fit that name.
Exactly.
Prince George, our location, our geographical location in the province, I always kind of thought of it as a challenge because it's like we're like an island unto ourselves and we're so far away from everything else. But that has become our benefit. We have grown into the possibilities, and we are now, it is definitely to our advantage. We are that gateway. We are that regional hub that opens up the entire largest landmass of our province up.
And physically, in the center, west to east, north to south, the
Yes.
center of the province, really, right?
Absolutely.
Now the other thing, interesting about you is that you became involved in politics. What happened?
Well, I grew up in a family where we always talked politics.
Yeah.
And there's always some pounding of the fists on the table, and my grandma at the other end saying, "Can I have the floor for a minute?" And a cousin would always leave, upset or anyway. So it was never an uncomfortable thing for me to talk politics.
Right.
And so in 2014, I had a few people that encouraged me, and I thought, John, I don't know if I can do it. I really wasn't happy with how things were going at that time. And I thought I can be part of the problem or I can be part of a solution. And why not? If it doesn't work and if I don't get in, nothing ventured, nothing gained.
So you jumped in
Totally.
and you got elected.
I did.
In your first try.
I did.
Now you're in your second term.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I
How
know.
do you like it?
I love it.
Yeah.
It is, it's an honor.
Yeah.
It really is. That people voted for me, that they trust me to voice what's important to them
Yeah.
at the table and
Yeah.
on issues that matter.
Yeah, and especially now, Terry, because as you already said and we talked about earlier, is we going through a major period of change, where there are issues with the forest industry. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But in addition to that, there's a lot of exciting things happening. Pipelines, in a way, are talking about a polyethylene plant, billions of dollars that may well become reality. That would change the whole city.
Huge.
Yeah.
It's an exciting time. Just look at all of the construction. And as you say, all the opportunities that are on the horizon. So what an exciting time to be at that table with my colleagues to make the decisions that matter.
Yeah, and for you to be in the roles that you are, because you're not only a city councillor for the second term, and you have very, leadership role positions within council, you're also a director on the regional district.
Absolutely, so it's a bigger picture.
Much bigger, and then add to that the Canadian Home Builders Association is another one. And I should mention quickly something. I believe on March the 7th you have a major event here.
We do. We
Tell me
have
about
the
it.
Housing Awards of Excellence, and that is where there's 25 categories, and our members throughout our region are entering their projects in best kitchen, best energy efficiency, innovative features, all those different categories. And they are being judged as we speak, and the winners will be announced that evening. So it's an opportunity to acknowledge and celebrate the achievements of our members in a really tough industry.
Yeah, and quickly for the tickets available, or how can people?
Absolutely, online. Yeah, online. CHBA northernbc.ca, and the tickets are online. Thank you, John.
It's going to be an exciting event, right?
Oh, it's huge. It's a bumping night. It's black tie. Folks get to take the boots off, dust off the sawdust, get all dressed up, and really celebrate a year of hard work.
Yeah. Now, the other part, Terri, that I have to talk to you about, is obviously you've been much part of the forest industry, because through your parents that were involved, that really came down here to be part of the forest industry, that there has not really been a period that I know of in the 55 years that I've been here where we have seen the industry in distress as we see it now, partially because of pine beetle, partially because of spruce beetle fires that has reduced the annual allowable cut to a level where we have too much capacity, not enough timber, that has caused a permanent shut of close to 20 mills in the interior of British Columbia. So the industry is changing, although it's not a sunset industry, to the contrary, but it will now change. How do you see that?
Well, I think every industry, for instance, we don't build houses anymore like we used to. It's a matter of capturing the opportunities, technology changes, and embracing those opportunities, and then training our workforce accordingly so that we can react.
So a lot of times, but we will now see the jobs that we have today, 5, 10, 20 years from now, the jobs will totally look different. Technology, new equipment, new methods of manufacturing.
Oh, absolutely. The jobs have changed 20 years back.
Right.
I have no reason to believe that they're not going to change, definitely 20 years in the future.
But we should invest in infrastructure to make sure that we are able to train our young people and being able to find careers in that, right?
Yeah, it's absolutely necessary. Set them up for success and to meet the demands and the jobs of the future. Well said, John. I agree.
Yeah. Now, the other thing, again, coming back to home building, like some of the exciting things that I see happening, we have the building on George Street that is a cross-laminated timber building, one of the first ones in the province. I believe it's 6 stories high. I'm not exactly sure.
Yes.
An amazing structure where a whole different approach to building. We'll see more and more of that.
Oh, absolutely. It's already changed so much. As they say, it's not just hammer and nails anymore. It's the science behind building and looking at a home as a whole system of things. And as we're moving forward, energy efficiency has changed. We're looking at making our homes more efficient.
Is that called greener, or?
Well, right now in our province specifically, we're looking at step code.
Yeah.
So that is mandated, and so.
What is step code?
Well, the industry is really grappling with that change right now, and what it is it's increasing the energy efficiency of a home on a step-by-step basis.
Right.
So starting with step 1 is just meeting basic code, but working with an energy advisor.
Right.
And it goes a little bit more up. And many of our builders are already building to step 3. Some are already achieving 4.
Is the objective to reduce the carbon footprint?
Indeed.
Yeah.
Overall, that is the benefit.
The ultimate objective.
The ultimate objective, yes, is to make our homes more efficient.
Yeah.
So we use less energy and we use it more wisely. And as we say, we're embracing technology, new thoughts, new ways of building, and training a workforce to be able, and trades to meet that demand.
Now, another exciting thing that I see downtown, where the Simon Fraser used to be, the piece of history that was taken down, but then next to it, they're building a hotel, and it seemed to have gone up in a couple of weeks' time. The whole hotel is virtually built.
Oh my gosh, it has come out of the ground fast.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
I think Yeah, definitely. When you get folks like that in companies, they really know their thing and they can really get it up really quickly.
Yeah, and it's unitized or in components.
Yeah.
Is that part of where we are going with home building maybe and apartments and?
You know what? Where it comes to commercial construction, admittedly, that's not my forte.
Right.
But it is also changing,
Right.
indeed. And we're looking different methods and materials. Looking to Europe and
Right.
around the world is
Right.
changing the way that we do things here.
Right. You know, so now the other parts of it that have been in the news a lot is, the potential of a polyethylene plant
Yeah.
in the Prince George region.
Absolutely.
The city is working on those kind of things, I would assume.
Absolutely. We've been working very closely for the last little bit, and we'll continue to do so moving forward, and working with other levels of government at the same time.
Yeah. Now with your role in the regional district, do you deal with the broader issues around the region?
Oh, absolutely. At the regional district board table, I get to share that with other mayors and elected officials from within those smaller areas, of which Prince George is one component of the regional district.
Right.
So it fits. So
Right.
those two seats, as a director and as a councillor, are very much intertwined.
Yeah.
So that has been a really interesting opportunity
Right.
to see how enmeshed it all is, and just to learn so much more, John, and meet more interesting people. It's pretty fabulous.
Yeah, yeah. Now it is so exciting that so many of the things are happening, and then what I see of council is that we seem to have a very progressive council, that are, although there are differences of opinion, but they seem to work all towards a common goal under the leadership of Lynn Hall.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think it's easier to work with a group of people when you know that when they arrive at the table, regardless of whether we agree or not, that they're bringing integrity to the table. That's job number one. Yeah, definitely. We don't always agree about things, and there have been times when I've been very passionate about something and just put it out there, and it didn't land, and kind of the drive home was a little slower, a little verklempt, but that's democracy.
Yeah.
And then it's my job to get in behind the will of the majority.
Yeah.
And it's regardless of which table I sit at, I'm mindful of who put me there.
Yeah, the way I kind of look at it from the outside looking in towards us, I've always believed that Prince George has a huge and great future simply because of it is the hub and the center logistically, both from rail, road, and air, and it will become a major city, probably doubling in size, are tripling in size, not in a distant future, 5, 10, 20 years from now. I kind of see from the perspective of being the leaders, taking a leadership role in the region. I saw that Prince George doing that, in the crisis around the forest industry, where they were the stimulus behind bringing people together and mayors and leaders together and saying, where do we go from here? You see that role increasing as we go forward, not only with the forest industry, but other major projects that affect the region?
Oh, absolutely. As mayor and council, we absolutely understand our roles. And I think what has become even more apparent, I think even when there are things that affect our region that are at the prerogative of perhaps the other levels of government, what this council is very keen on ensuring that just because it may not be in our job description, that we don't have a responsibility to get involved.
Yeah.
And that comes with our overall economy and our resource economy also, because it affects not just Prince George, but our entire region.
Yeah.
And so we have to have a voice at that table.
Yeah.
And if the table hasn't been built, we'll do it ourselves.
Yeah.
And invite people over.
Yeah. Now, the other thing, I love your passion. You were quite involved before you entered into politics and did the region and all the other things. You were quite involved in not-for-profit things. That has always been part of your life, right?
Absolutely. Those have been my favorite types of jobs. I think it's kind of a jack of all trades position. Anybody that works in nonprofits in a role similar to mine, you're a little bit of everything. And with that responsibility also comes creative license and the ability to really make decisions more readily and more quickly, and the opportunity to work with different boards.
Right.
Boards of directors that are changing and growing, and they shape the association that I'm working with, so it's never the same.
No.
It's never the same story. No. When I get up in the morning to go to work, there's something different.
But even it builds for you experience, increasingly more so because of all the different things you do.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
indeed. And I think it's not just experience, it builds confidence.
Yeah.
And how lucky am I to have what do they say? Good health, family, and meaningful work.
And those are that's the foundation, right?
Absolutely.
So how, Terri, do you see yourself going forward from here?
Oh, going forward, I don't, same path. I'm happy here.
Right.
I love it. I am
Yeah.
absolutely, I'm a lucky woman, John.
Right.
And as I said, health, family, and meaningful work. And the opportunity to sit at the tables that I do, to
Right.
work with the people that I do, meet the people that I never met before.
Right.
I am never the smartest person in the room.
Right.
And so the opportunity for personal growth is enormous.
Yeah.
And while the responsibility is there,
Right.
don't get me wrong, it doesn't mean that it cannot weigh heavy, but at the same time, what an honor to be able to be part of the whole thing.
But you're at the center of power where you are in terms of that's where the decisions are made between council, regional district, and then the Canadian Home Building Association.
Yeah.
Executive, it gives
It
you
all
this,
flows together.
it all
And some of this
fits.
knowledge, and I like to think that I bring a little value added myself to each of those tables because of that diversity.
Yeah, and then in terms of the forest industry, that is right now somewhat in distress, and a lot of people kind of think that will there be an industry? I believe you believe what I believe is that there is a future. There is no better place in the world to grow fiber than we do in the center of British Columbia.
Yeah, it's just looking ahead and capturing the opportunities.
It simply will look different, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's what time does.
Yeah, and one of the things that we are working towards is, and I've always talked about, we want to go beyond and say we have to look at what skill sets do we need. We need to develop new products for new markets, new ways of manufacturing, and building a center of excellence in the Prince George region that takes a leadership role again in the emerging new forest industry in the 21st century as we go forward. I believe that we have to do that here.
Yeah.
In the center of British Columbia.
Absolutely. Yeah. Forestry, we have been the leader, and to continue in the future. There's no other place we should be.
Yeah, and so the and the time is now, right? So, and it is so exciting that if I drive through the town and seeing the different developments all over the place, and there is confidence by the rest of the world really in our region here, and I believe we were identified as one of the areas of great opportunity. The 10 most favored areas of opportunity is Prince George in the center of British Columbia.
I agree. That was well said.
Yeah?
Yeah. We could put that on a postcard, John. Well said.
Thank you for being my guest today,
Thank you, John.
Terri.
It's always a pleasure.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you for watching A History of the BC Forest Industry. Make sure you stay tuned for next week.